closed shape. The ending points intersect the pattern outline, and that's what is giving me the visual of this potential shape. I'm going to quickly put that back. As a result, when you right-click on this shape, because it is not closed, you will not find an option to clone as pattern. In this case, you are going to have to use the trace tool. The trace tool will allow you to hold shift and select all of the edges that make up this potential shape. It's okay if portions above and below your shape highlight in yellow. So for example, my side seam is fully highlighted, but when I'm on the trace tool and right click on all of these sections, I have trace as pattern. Select that and it will pull this out as a shape that you can then put down. So anytime you have shapes like this that aren't really fully closed, you have to use the trace tool to pull them out. My one tip is that if any portion of your internal line doesn't fully intersect the pattern edge, so here you can see it doesn't really intersect. If I zoom out, I might not notice that so much. In this case, using the trace tool, it will react, but it's not going to pull out a fully closed shape. What it's going to do is extract just an internal shape, which is kind of the best thing that it can do at the moment because it's not finding a closure. So if you do this action and you see something like this, where one, the lines are red, and then two, if you try and put it down, you'll get an error message. Check all of the areas of your shape and make sure that they're fully intersecting the edge before you try and extract this. Because this isn't hitting the edge, I'm going to use the extend trim to pattern outline to have that extend, and then I can go in there no problem, use trace as pattern, and get a completed pattern shape. I'm going to use these two shapes I just made to really quickly construct an on-seam pocket. And because I have this marking here, I'm going to use it to help me to get these pieces inside of my garment. First, I'm going to sew this to the marking that I extracted it from, and then I'll attach this edge to here. And now that it's sewn and has some type of a track to follow, I can use Superimpose under, and it's going to place that pattern piece just to show you where it went. I'll hide my avatar, and then I can hide this garment piece. And then we can see that this is actually on the inside. So to reinforce Superimpose, I will reset this. Over means the face of the fabric. Under means backside of the fabric. And in this case, I wouldn't be able to use side. It would kind of distort my pattern. But side means along the edge of the pattern. I'm going to undo that. So you can use it in creative ways like this. Even if I don't intend to keep the sewing here, after this is in its place, I can go in and completely delete this sewing and actually delete this marking now. And this piece will be here because I really only need it to be sewn to this edge. And then this remaining piece, I'm going to use Superimpose again. Just take this whole edge, now sews to this whole edge. I will change the sewing line type to turn so the edges can press together. And then just to get this into place, I'm going to sew this to here. Go into the 3D window, right click on your piece and choose Superimpose under. And now it will place that right behind the first piece that was superimposed. So to finish my sewing quickly, this will just take a really quick sewing adjustment. Initially, the silhouette was put together by closing the side seam completely, but now we can go delete that. I have sewing where this piece, I have the sewing already where this piece is attached. So I can use this guideline. I'm going to sew from there up and then from here down, and then reverse my sewing so it is not twisted. Then I can use the free sewing tool to get this piece attached. Now the sewing that's closing it to the other pocket piece, I can remove that and then go back to the free sewing tool and sew from the bottom opening of the pocket down to the hemline. So I used Superimpose to get those in there. I did not have to use the gizmo. I hid my pieces really just to demonstrate to you, but now that this process is complete, I can really bring all my pattern pieces back. A quick way to do that is just by going over here in this menu and selecting this first show garment option. I'll bring my avatar back. And then we'll go over here. I haven't simulated yet. I'm going to turn show style lines on. And then I'm going to simulate. And we have our pocket opening. So using the trace tool, I was able to pull this shape out. Then I used it to sew the shape that I extracted onto the marking that I used for extraction, and then superimpose just to get my piece into place, and then remove the marking after the fact, get rid of the sewing. And now I have that all finished. Just so I have two pockets. We do not want these pockets to be linked to each other here. These both belong to the wearer's left side. We want them to have their own symmetrically linked clone for the right side. I'm going to push this into the garment, just get that inside a little bit. And then I'm safe to simulate, and all of these pieces will be attached. Okay, we've got a couple more examples on the back to just go through. So the back pattern piece is symmetrically linked, left side and right side, but because it's the type where the pattern piece is joined in the middle, this heart shape that I see also is not closed. It intersects at the center back to look like a fully closed shape, but if I move it away, you'll see that this is actually fully open. Because this is fully open, you also don't have an option for clone as pattern. In this case, what I do recommend doing is actually closing this shape. So I'm going to get internal polygon, draw a line to give my heart a type of center marking. So I have to join this section, and then I have to join this corner as well. Then you can move that back. You can clone this as a pattern. It's going to come out on the half. Unfold it. And then superimpose over to get it into place. I'll apply this gingham fabric. And now we're all attached there. So these little hearts are here for you to just practice cloning it as a pattern, converting it to a whole, whatever you prefer, and then sewing it on with the double click feature and the free sewing tool. Here's another place where you can practice tracing something as a pattern. Here's another location where if I wanted to get this pattern piece out,